to see this area grow. And the desire that he had to see the Spirit of God continue to work in this part of his church. And we had shared a lot that evening, and we kind of left with a goal of fasting and praying together, that the Lord would just take that desire and that he would continue. Because I could relate to that so well. We just connected on that. And I remember so vividly leaving that thinking, wow, what a beautiful thing that was. He wasn't asking for anything for himself. He wasn't asking for any glory. He wasn't asking for riches. He wasn't asking for anything. He was asking that he would be able to see and be eyewitness to the blessings of God, to see souls come to Jesus Christ, to be able to see others have the opportunity to be able to live like him, to have the opportunity to have that spirit and that freedom, to be able to have that song and say, I'm free from all the guilt of this world. That waking up every morning with the hope to know you have Jesus Christ as your best friend walking through this world. That was his desire. That's what all of our desire is. That we would be able to share the gospel with others. Because my life was so different until Jesus Christ came in it. I can't imagine. July 9th, 1981 is when my life changed forever. And I was telling my daughter just the other day that it's going to be 29 years this year, which is pretty amazing in itself. That as I look back, what a whirlwind that was of the 29 years. And that was his desire. And then all of a sudden, as we continued to fast, as we continued to pray, as we continued as all of you, I started to see on the website, I started to see blocks of ice being cut in the lake. I started to hear different experiences. I started to see different things. I started to see quickly, right after that, how quick God is to be able to be with us. What's in your house? What do you have to offer Jesus Christ? Don't let your mind limit what God can do with what you have. Don't let God limit. You know, it's so easy to say, well, we're such a small group, and we're so this, and we're so that. Don't limit yourself to what God can do. What is in your house today? Do you have the faith to be able to go forth? Or are you stuck in the fear that you're afraid to be able to expose yourself and go forward? Do you have the faith to be able to say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me? I can know that God is going to help us and he's going to bless us, whether it's in Erie or it's in Morrow or it's in West Palm Beach or it's in Lake Worth or it's in my house or it's in Penn State or it's in my school or it's in my grocery or it's wherever it is that I find myself. Do you have the faith to say, what is in your house today? What is it that you could be like that widower to be able to say that I can do it if I just give it to God? It wasn't a coincidence that all of a sudden this little pot of oil that this widower had changed to all of these buckets and pails and any kind of container that said they could find to fill of all this oil. Does this sound familiar? Does it sound like the time when Christ came and he had to feed all those people with just some little fish and some little loaves? Does it sound familiar? God's the same. God works the same in his way he does things. That was many years ago in Old Testament when he fed all those people was New Testament. When he blessed this family, which is all of you, and you started to see this growth in your area, that's 2010. He's the same. He doesn't change. What changes is us. We change. It's up to us to say, what is in our house today that limits us from Jesus Christ using us more? What is it that I can be able to give him to be able to allow him to bless in my life for his honor and his glory? That's what he continues to ask us over and over again. You know, it says that faith is the size of a mustard seed, which is one of the smallest seeds there is. That's all it says you have to have, is that if you have just that little bit of faith that he will bless you. And then you could sit out there today and you could say, okay, you know, I don't even have that. I don't even have that little seed. You know what? That's what's so cool about Scripture. Scripture addresses that. Scripture says that if you don't even have the seed, that pray that God would give you nothing more than a desire. And if you have the desire that God would be able to give you the seed, that you would pray. And that you would be able to take and be able to pray that desire, and if it's a good desire, that God would bless that. And that desire would start to grow and start to envelop and start to bless your life. That's what he wants. So start with the desire. If you don't know what's in your house, pray. God, what's in my house? What is it that you want me to take out of my life that you will be able to work with me? What is it that's in my life that I can give you to work with? What is it that's in my life? Maybe you don't know. And if you don't, pray for that desire. And if you have that desire, God is going to bless you. That's what he said. And then if you get to the point where it's that seed of faith, the size of a mustard seed, that's all you need. And he will take it from there. That's what he wants from us in our lives. He wants us to be able to move forward with the gospel of Jesus Christ, to be able to do all things. But we sit there sometimes and we kind of keep thinking to ourselves, that faith or fear, which is it? Which one is it that's going to control our life? I thought of a story that I haven't actually talked about in a long time, and I think it fits today. And it was about a man that I'd read about. And this man had a desire to be able to climb the highest mountain there was. And it said that he wanted the desire, and he wanted it unto his own. So he did all this training to himself, because he wanted to have the credit to be able to go forth and be able to be the one that had the record of being able to climb this highest mountain. And it said after years and years of preparation, he went forth. And it said that as he started to go, he started to get higher and higher. And he got so high into the mountain as he was trying to climb up to the top, that it said that it was into the clouds to where he couldn't see the stars and he couldn't see the moon. He couldn't see any light at all. It was just so dark. And it said that he was just about 2-3 feet from the top of the mountain. And as he just got about to the top of the mountain, it said he slipped. And he started to fall. And as he started to fall, he said all he could feel was this gravity taking him lower and lower. And as he was falling, he started to flash. And I remember this in my life when I was in my car. I think when you come to that moment where you think your life is over, you just have this quick flash of your life. And that's what it said in this story. That this man started to think about his whole life, all the good and all the bad things that he did. And it said that as he was thinking about all this and he continued to fall, all of a sudden he felt this tightness on his waist, because that's where his rope was. And he stopped. And he grabbed a hold of the rope with all he could, and he's just hanging there, not seeing anything, in the middle of darkness. And all of a sudden, he did the one thing that I think all of us can understand. He said, God, help me. And the story says that all of a sudden he heard this voice from heaven. And the voice said to him, what is it that you want me to do? And the man said, I want you to save me. And he said to him, he goes, do you think that I can? Do you believe today that I can save you? And this man said, yes, I do, Lord. And you know what he told him? He said, let go of the rope. Now think about that for a minute. We do everything we think we can. This man wanted this glory all to himself. He finally got to the point in his life when he said, Lord, help me. Miraculously, the Lord answers his prayer. You know, that's how God works. God is there with his mercy and grace to be able to forgive us. And he's right there no matter what choices we make, what situations we're in. He's always right there to answer our prayers. And as this man stood there with nothing around him at all, his whole life before him, hanging on to the only thing that he could understand that was giving him life, and that was this rope. And God said, if you trust me, if you have the faith, if you believe I can do it, then cut the rope. Let go of the rope. The story goes on the next day. It said that the patrol found a mountain climber, froze to death, holding on to a rope with his hands, 10 feet from the ground. Now, God knew his circumstance. God knew he was 10 feet from the ground. God knew everything that was in his life. God understood all those things that was there. And all he had to do